Okay, so let's start. My name is Luqman Rafiq and I'm the tutor for this paper APM. I've been in teaching profession for more than 12 years now. And in these 12 years of my profession, I have been teaching various areas that include the financial reporting, financial management, auditing, and performance management. So this is what I have been doing for the past many years. I recently conducted the APM webinar for ACCA, and inshallah for this coming session also, I'll be conducting a webinar for the ACCA for this APM. Today we are going to be starting this APM fast track course. Our objective is going to be that we make this course a very exam focused course, in which what we would be doing is we would be trying to attempt, we'd be trying to actually we'll be trying to actually ensure that we understand the topics that are there in part and parcel of the APM. And at the same time, what we do is that we try to look at the answers of the, like we try to attempt the exam questions also. Unfortunately, with the professional level papers, majority of the optional level papers have got a pass rate of approximately 30 to 35% or something like that. So this actually means that 1 out of every 3 students pass, or you could other way around say that a student usually passes in the third attempt. Student usually passes in the third attempt. So now, I'm sure a lot of you who are attending the class right now, you might not have actually, you might have attempted this paper earlier also, but what happens is you don't have to worry about this thing which I have written, which is that a student usually passes in third attempt. Now, why is that so? Because there are many students who would have passed the paper, in the first attempt. Maybe a lot of students attempted AFM. They passed the AFM in the first attempt. A lot of students, they attempt APM. They pass APM in the first attempt. A lot of students attempt AAA. They pass AAA in the first attempt. So it's actually about you. It's actually about the way you prepare. It's actually about the way you tackle the paper. So first of all, if you have to attempt this paper, let's just delete this thing from your mind that the pass rate is 30 to 35%. Let's just put this thing in your mind that you can pass. That you can pass. if if you prepare this specific paper in the way that is actually that the examiner is requiring you to prepare, which is to focus more upon his past examination question, to focus more upon the practice, inshallah you will be able to pass. Now let's just start discussing the advanced performance management. Let me guide you that what exactly do you mean by this advanced performance management. Now, first of all, if I talk about performance management, the way I explain performance management is I tell people that, look, assume that you are running your own business. Assume that you're running your own business. And when you are running your own business, so obviously what you have to do is that you have an objective you have an objective to achieve. And generally speaking, what is that objective? The objective is your wealth maximization. The objective is your maximization of wealth. So if I am running a business, I'm running a business with an objective that I need to maximize my wealth. Now, if I have to maximize my wealth, what do I need to do? I need to ensure that I sell my goods, I sell my services to my customers, and my number of customers, they keep on increasing. And when the number of customers would keep on increasing, ultimately I would actually be in a position that I would be earning more and more profits. And ultimately what is going to happen is that these profits are going to be translated into the wealth. These profits are going to be translated into the wealth. That is, the share price of my company, of my business, is going to increase. And ultimately that would mean that the wealth of myself is going to increase. So why have I taken the example of a business? Because you have to think it this way, that when you are running a business, you have an objective. And what is that objective? The objective is the maximization of wealth. And when we talk about maximization of wealth, what exactly do we mean by this? The maximization of wealth would mean that we would try to sell as many goods and services to the customers whom we serve, so that ultimately we are able to earn as much profit as possible. And when we would be earning as much profit as possible, so ultimately that would be translated into our wealth, and ultimately the share price would increase and our wealth is going to increase. So is it a simple task to achieve the objective of a business? Is it a simple task to achieve the objective of a business? The answer is no. Because what happens is when you are running a business, you have to make sure that every single aspect of the business is being run and managed properly. What do you need to do? You need to make sure that every single aspect of the business is being run and managed in a proper manner. What exactly do you mean by this? This would actually mean that if you run a business, you have to look after the production of the business. You have to look after procurement. You have to look after the supplier relationship. You have to look after the customer relationship. You have to look after the sales of the business, the marketing of the business, the finance of this specific business, the relationship with your lenders, the relationship with the shareholders, the relationship with the government, the relationship, or you could see that you have to look after your HR department. You have to look after your IT infrastructure. You have to look after the overall infrastructure of your business also. So every single aspect of the business, this is something that you have to look after. So I repeat, when you are running a business, so what do you need to do? You have to look after every single aspect of that business, whether that be the production of goods, whether that be the procurement of raw materials, whether that be the selection of the suppliers, whether that be the negotiation of the suppliers, whether that be the dealing with the customers, whether that be the selling of the goods or the services, whether that be promoting your business, whether that be managing the finance, whether that be obtaining the funds, whether that be raising finance through the shareholders, through other people, whether that be managing the relationship with the government authorities like tax authorities, the labor authorities, etc., etc., hiring the HR, training them, managing them, enhancing their careers, managing the IT infrastructure of the organization, managing the overall infrastructure of the organization. So every single aspect is that you actually have to manage. And when we talk about the concept of performance management, I repeat, whenever we talk about the concept of performance management, so what exactly do we mean by performance management? The performance management actually means that you aim to achieve. The performance management is actually you aim to achieve the objectives of your business. Objectives of your business. So when we talk about the performance management, what exactly do you mean by performance management? The performance management is you try to achieve the goals, you try to achieve the objectives of your business. And if you have to achieve the goals and objectives of your business, this is all that you have to manage. This is all that you have to manage. And once you will be able to manage all of this, then you're going to get this more customers, more profit, and hence the increase in share price, and hence the increase in the wealth. So resultingly, the objective of the business is going to be achieved. So when we will be studying this P5, the Advanced Performance Management or the APM, this APM syllabus includes all of these aspects. This APM syllabus includes all of these aspects, which is that you have to see that how would you run and manage your production. You have to see that how would you ensure the relationship with suppliers, with customers, how would you be promoting the goods, how would you be making the sales, how would you be setting the prices, how would you be managing the finances, how would you be managing your HR, your IT infrastructure, your overall infrastructure, every single thing that is important in order to help you achieve the objective of the business. That is what APM is all about. That is what APM is all about. I did not go directly onto the syllabus. The reason being, I want you to understand the concept of performance management. I want you to understand what performance management involves. So basically, when we would be discussing this APM, what exactly are we going to be studying? We're going to be studying every single thing that I explained to you right now. You could just see, the subject relationship of APM, and when you see the subject relationship of APM, there is a relation, obvious relation with this MA, which is F2, PM, which is F5, and this was basically previously known as P5. There is an obvious relationship between this PM, APM, etc. But there is a strong relationship with this paper also. There's a strong relationship with this paper also. Now, why is there a strong relationship with this paper? This is something that you have to understand. Now, why is it something that you have to understand? Let's try to understand. Basically, when we talk about this strategic business leader, we discussed that how do you manage the strategic aspects? How do you manage the strategic aspects of a business? And a lot of those strategic aspects are covered in here also. A lot of those strategic aspects are covered in here also. Why? Because it's ultimately achieving the objective, achieving the goal of the business. And when it's ultimately achieving the objective or the goal of the business, that means you need to have a strategic perspective. What is it? That means you need to have a strategic perspective. That is something that you would have to keep in mind. Now, let me talk about that how this paper is examined. So just like any other optional examination, it's actually examined this way, that you've got a section A, which is a 50-mark question. Is this question examined from a single topic? So no, it's not a single topic. It's the multiple topic that this question actually examines. So when we talk about the section A, a 50-mark question, what does it include? It includes multiple topics that are actually examined. What does it include? It includes the multiple topics that are examined. And in addition to this, there is this section B, which consists of 225 marks question. The section B, which is consisting of 225 marks question. So that means if you have to attempt the APM paper, you have to attempt an overall 3 questions in the examination. What do you need to attempt? You need to attempt an overall 3 questions in the examination. Now, let me actually talk about these syllabus areas. There are multiple sections of the syllabus. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to refer to a quick overview of those syllabus areas, so that you could have an idea, you could have a mindset that what exactly is expected of us. Just wait a bit, please. Okay, let's talk. When we talk about the different aspects of this syllabus, so you could see that the different aspects of the syllabus: strategic planning and control. What do we mean by this? It's actually, you see, the word is strategic. It's actually at the top level. It's actually at the top level of the organization. It's not the operational level, it's the top level of the organization. So how do you plan at the strategic level? How do you control the performance of the business? How do you control the performance of the business? So basically, the strategic planning and control, what do we mean by this? The concept of this strategic planning and control means that what are the things that you would plan out at this strategic level, and how would you manage the performance of the business? That is something that we'll be discussing. Then the second thing is that the impact of risk and uncertainty on organizational performance. You do have an idea that whatever the decision that an entity makes, there are a lot of risks that are actually there. That could actually be, you could apply the whole of the pestle model. You could apply the whole of this Porter 5 forces model, and you will get an idea that what is basically there with respect to the risk that the organization faces, which is the organization could face a political risk, the economic risk, the social risk, the technological risk, the ecological risk, and the legal risk. Then there could be the other things, which could be that you can have further classification like the financial risk, the economic risk, the countrywide risk, etc., etc. There could be multiple types of classification with respect to the risk. So whenever you are operating as an entity, there are multiple aspects. There are multiple things which could have an adverse impact upon the entity. So how would those things have an impact upon the performance of the entity, and how would the entity manage those things? I repeat, how would how would those risks have an impact upon the performance of the entity, and how would the entity manage those things? That is something that we would be discussing. So the first aspect of the syllabus is going to be what? The first aspect of the syllabus is going to be that how do you plan strategically for a business? And the second thing is that if you face risk, if you face uncertainties while operating a business, so how do you actually manage those uncertainties? How do you manage those risks? That is something that we shall be discussing. Then there are two, three different things, which is performance measurement, information system and technology, strategic performance measurement, performance evaluation, and corporate failure. Now, you see, if you look at these two sections of the syllabus, if you look at these two sections of the syllabus, they majorly focus upon performance measurement, and it talks about IT also. So basically in this specific area, we would be talking about that how exactly do you measure the performance of the organization, and how does that measurement helps you in the management of the performance? That is something that we'll be talking about. And lastly, another area of the syllabus which is about corporate failure. This specific area would be focusing upon that what exactly leads to the failure of an organization. The second thing is that how you could manage the failure. How could you prevent an organization from reaching this specific failure stage? All of this is something that we would be discussing and that we would be talking about. So to sum up, if I talk about this P5, the APM paper, I would simply tell you people that it's one of those paper that focuses, that operates at the strategic level of the organization. And what is it that is actually focuses upon? It actually focuses upon that how you would be able to achieve your organization's long-term goals. How you would be able to achieve your organization's long-term goals. So this is what this specific paper actually focuses upon. Now, there are many more things with respect to the syllabus, which I am not going to discuss now, but I would rather focus upon moving on to the syllabus aspects because I think it's important that we start studying from day one rather than just discussing syllabus. So, but you could just identify a few things, and you could just take a guidance that how they would be examined in this syllabus and how wide and how diverse this syllabus is. And let me tell you, to me, it's a paper which requires a lot of general knowledge. I mean, not a general knowledge, but rather a common sense. To me, this is one of those paper that requires a lot of common sense. You need to have a lot of common sense to be able to pass this paper. I repeat, you need to have a lot of common sense in order to be able to pass this paper, because this is just applying your brains, this is just applying your mind to the different scenarios that you come across. Now, let's talk about it. I'm just going to highlight few things. See, it says environmental and ethical issues. Now, let me ask you a question. When you run a business, do you consider the environment? Do you consider the operating environment? Let me ask you something. Now, I need to see the answers from you people in the chat window. When you run a business, my question to you is that when you run a business, do you consider the operating environment around you? Okay, why do you consider? Why do you consider? Okay, yes, because it influences performance. So your operating environment would include everything, like your suppliers, your customers. Your operating environment would be your society, would be the people around you, everything. So you do consider your operating environment. You do consider the environment when you are operating. Now, secondly, do you consider the ethical aspects when you are operating, when you are running a business? My question, do you consider the ethical aspects? Again, my question is going to be why? Okay, good enough. Good to see you people participating. Good to see you people participating. Now see, I'll just read out few of the answers that I've got. One of them is social responsibility. Yes, it's a social responsibility. The second thing is affects the goodwill and therefore performance. Yes, very good. I'm going to give you an example on this. It says the ethical issues affect relationship, reputation, ultimately performance. Yes, it affects the long-term business. Yes, affects the long-term survival. Now let's just see. Let me give you one of the examples. I can see that there are many people from UK who are attending this session. So you must have heard of Starbucks. You must have heard of Starbucks. Now, when I talk about Starbucks, what the Starbucks it did was it actually it actually transferred its profit to basically tax heaven. What do you mean by tax heaven? Like you've got British Isles, you've got Cayman Island, you've got Panama Island. These are the tax havens. These are the jurisdictions where you, even if you earn the profits, you don't have to pay much tax. So what they did was they were operating in UK, and they actually transferred majority of their profits into the tax havens through the various transfer pricing and etc. So there was an investigation that was carried out by HMRC. And when HMRC carried out the investigation, the result of that investigation was those investigations were made public. Although Starbucks wasn't doing anything illegal, but it was unethical. There was a boycott. The Starbucks sales kept on declining. It's kept declining, declining, declining. Then what the Starbucks management had to come out was they had to come out and they had to contribute towards the tax authority to let the society know that yes, we are a socially responsible citizen. We are contributing towards the society. Let me give you another example. Recently in Pakistan, yesterday it happened. I'm going to share that article with you people also. Um, it happened to be like in a cafe in one of the cities, the capital city of Pakistan, Islamabad. There's a restaurant. What happened with that restaurant is you do know that the local language of Pakistan is Urdu. It's not English. The restaurant was owned by a few elite class people, and there were two ladies who actually used to own that restaurant. What they did was they made a video of a manager, and that manager had been working with them for the last 9 years. And what they did was they made a video for the manager saying that, mocking his English. And unfortunately, what happened was it was taken to social media, and the social media reacted very badly to that specific mocking of those people for that specific waiter or the manager. And ultimately, I read a news today that they had to shut down their business because people, they reacted very heavily against this business personnel. The reason being they acted unethically. So I'm going to take a minute of yours, and what I'll do is that I'll show you people a few things out of that specific incident, because it's a very recent incident where the owners they acted unethically. Where the owners they acted unethically. Okay, um, let me show you, because I think if we are just discussing, let me just show you the incident. Um, okay, now I think this is the relevant video. Let me just open it up. I think, yeah, here it is.
Hi.
Okay. My internet is a bit slow, so I'll just wait for a minute for this video to load a bit, and then I'm gonna play it, because what happens is this is what they did to their manager, and they had a blast over social media. The social media didn't actually leave them, and they ultimately, I read a news today that they had to close down.
Hi, I'm Uzma and this is Dia. Hi.
Well, unfortunately, I'm really sorry about it. But anyways, it was one of those incidents where they mocked their manager, and the manager was being mocked for having a poor English. And ultimately, what happens is they had to shut down this restaurant today. Cannoli Cafe shut down. Cannoli Cafe shut down. Now, you see this one. Cannoli Cafe faces indefinite shutdown. What did they do? They did nothing except that they mocked a person for those skills which he is not required to possess, that is, to be able to speak English. And unfortunately, what happened is they had to ultimately close down. You see, read out this statement. Anyways, so coming back to it, now you can see that how important the ethical behavior is, because if you act unethically, it's gonna affect the business. And I could just recall an immediate example, so that's why I went you people through this example. Next is that um the risk and uncertainty, do they affect your business? Can you just quote an example of a risk being faced by the organization? Yeah, risk and uncertainty, do they affect your business? Can you people quote an example of what risk and uncertainty could affect your business? And again, my request to you people is going to be that kindly make this answer window, the chat window, to be all panelists and attendees, so that everyone could see your answer. Yeah, can you people give an example? What else? Now you see, let me guide you. What happened is COVID-19. What did COVID do to the business community? Okay, we have got new technology, we have got credit risk. What did COVID do? The COVID was something uncertainty. 2020 was supposed to be the year of change. Dubai was planning for something very big in 2020. The world was like that, a new era is going to enter. A decade is going to be over. A new era is going to be entered. But all of this, what happened is it ended up in a disaster. I was going through one of the articles today that Debenham, they have closed down their business. Debenham have filed for the administration, and now Debenham has been bought out by an online retailer. So what is this happening? It's actually an uncertainty. The COVID prevailed. Unfortunately, the business destroyed. The business got destroyed. So what happens is there are a lot of things where is uncertainty. Yeah, the COVID-19 caused the going concern risk to many businesses. Those who have survived should thank God. Those who have survived should thank God. So this is also an uncertainty which you need to consider. Now, let me ask you more questions. I think, okay. Now, Can you just let me know that what is your take on the quality? How important is the quality in the with respect to a business? Can you just give your take how important quality is with respect to a business? What do you consider to be quality? Can you just let me know what is your understanding of quality? Okay, Sajid Hamid, quality leads to improvement of sales. Okay, good enough. Who else? Who else? Okay, quality in business will drive customer retention. Kahinda. Able to change to challenges. That's what Winston is saying. Customer loyalty. Okay. Who else? What do you mean by quality? What do you mean by quality? If your products are not good, it can affect customers. Yes. So when it comes to the quality, you see, a quality is a lot of things. A quality is a lot of things. Maybe for few people, if I talk about a product, the design of the product is quality. For few people, the durability of the product is quality. For few people, shape of the product is quality. For few people, the color of the product is quality. For few people, the price of the product is considered to be quality. A lot of aspects of the quality actually exist. For a lot of people, the objective is achieved is considered to be quality. So when I talk about the concept of quality, what am I going to tell you? I'm going to tell you that the quality actually means that, I mean, like, it's actually what the customer expects from you. And if you deliver to the customer what he expects from you, that means you are delivering quality goods. That means you are delivering quality services. And if we talk about the performance management, if we talk about the performance of the business, quality plays a significant role. Quality plays a significant role. So basically, when we would be discussing performance measurement, performance management, we'll be talking about quality also. Okay. Um, how important is HR for your business? How important is HR for your business? In this technology, in this days of technological advancement, how important is HR? Well, Tendai, recruit best skills. What? Why? Why? Why should we recruit best skills? People are the most important resource. Okay. What else? Okay, rewards for motivation to improve sales. Now, there are people. Now, basically, what happens is when we talk about the human resource, so generally speaking, what happens is no matter to whatever extent the technology goes, no matter to whatever extent the artificial intelligence grows up, no matter to whatever extent the machine learning is developed, ultimately the role of the human resource cannot be eliminated. Because you see what happens is, if I talk about the big technology giants like Google, I talk about the big technology giants like Facebook. What do they have? Don't they hire the human resource? Are the robots doing the work? No, it's actually the people who are behind the whole technology. It's actually the people who are driving a change. So you cannot, no matter whatever level of technology you reach, you cannot eliminate, you cannot eliminate the, you cannot eliminate the need of the human being. So it's actually the people who are the driving force behind the technology also. So if you have a technological advancement, you need people, you need ideas. Ideas come from people. Ideas does not come from machine. The implementation comes from people. The way to implement comes from people. So and it's quite important for the organization to have good HR, good human resource, because nowadays organizations do understand that the HR is not something of a cost, but it's actually a capital that we have. If we have got good HR, If we have got people who are there from past longest, long many number of years, that means we are a strong organization, because a good HR is your strength. Now, lastly, this is something that I talked about, which is about the predicting and preventing corporate failure. Because you see, what happens is it's quite important with respect to every business that it keeps on evaluating its risk. I repeat, it's quite important for every business that it keeps on evaluating, it keeps on reviewing its risk, and it keeps on identifying the things that could ultimately lead to the failure of the business. Because if a business keeps on doing it, then it is going to make things easier for this business. So, anyways, what I am actually discussed up till now is the syllabus for this paper P5. There are a lot of things that we shall be discussing. There's data analytics mentioned, there's management reports mentioned, etc., etc., etc. There are many things that are mentioned. But again, our objective is going to be, we'll stay exam focused. We'll stay exam focused. We'll be focusing on the exam. Our focus is going to be exam. That is how we are going to study. That is how we are going to prepare. So I'm done with the syllabus review, syllabus overview. I'm now going to move on and discuss a topic. In case if anyone